Alright. Did you miss me, chat? Did you watch the interview?
Now.
I only saw a couple clips. I didn't watch the interview. Sir, please. Is this from the drop frames? No shot. Oh, dude. Apparently people like the everything explained Last Epoch thingamajiggy. Alright, so I was thinking we could finish that run. Apparently Toad was saying it's perfectly cut before the end game. So we could start doing the rest of the run today and we could do the end game stuff. By the way, Ziz was telling me he wants to PvP. He wants to play the exact same build that I'm playing and beat me on it. So that'll be interesting. Ziz is mad. Play Lich then. Should I just play like some dog build and force Ziz to play some dog build? Like what if I play Shield Crush again? What was it called? Shield Bash? Shield Crush? What build will we be playing? We're playing a Sentinel. I have not decided what. I guess we can talk about that today as well. So yeah, today, for starters, hello, I'm back from holiday. Last Epoch launch is at 12 EST, which is 5 PM BST. Alright, so we're gonna continue from our Everything Explained run that we were doing the other day. This character just beat the first timeline, but I'll go over that again anyway. Now, this character's a bit of a throwaway character. I'm not gonna like min-max it like 100% properly or anything like that. It's mostly just for like familiarizing myself with the game a bit more and showcasing the end game. So this character just beat Act 5. No, I just got to the start or the midway point of Act 5, the Desert Act, and we went straight into Monoliths. So, as you can see, my character's res is a little bit lacking. This is without my Holy Aura, so it's not quite this bad. But one thing to note, mobs have pen by default. The reason why they have this is that the impact of resistance is lessened. So I'm not taking like double damage because I have 50 res in this game. You can actually afford to not be res capped in Last Epoch, and it can actually sometimes even be optimal to have one res be a bit low if it means that you get an overall EHP increase via life or armor or some other defense. So while res is important, you don't have to actually be at 75. You can, again, being like 73, 72, or hell, even like 60 is not the end of the world. So anyway, when you get to the end game, you'll go over to the End of Time and enter the Monolith of Fate. This is basically where you access maps, like Last Epoch's version of maps anyway. Now, like I said, I already started the first act, the first like timeline. I guess I'll go over that now though, what a timeline is. So, do I have a good overview? Yeah, here we go. So you have 10 timelines. Each timeline has a big boss fight. Not sure the best way to compare that. How would you compare it, chat? Like it's bigger than a normal boss fight, but it's also not like an Uber fight. Yeah, maybe like a campaign boss. It's like a campaign level, an act boss. Yeah, that's perfect. They even have some act bosses in here, so that's a perfect example. So you basically get like a big like act boss level fight. I believe they're also adding some act level boss fights to the next update, but I haven't done them and I don't have closed testing, so we'll ignore that for now. So how many maps until boss? This changes depending on what level you're at, essentially, like what the timeline level is. But if I click here, you can see a system called Stability, right? That's this thing at the top, and it also...
Obligatory annoyant ETS to interrupt your train of thought and
bastard.
mess up the YouTube.
Every time you complete an echo, and again, these are basically maps. Worth pointing out, by the way, you don't need like a resource to access it. As long as you can travel to it, like as long as it, you have, like I can't go here, for example, because I don't have a connected path completed. But because I've completed this one, I can do this one, or this one, or this one. But you can see, you get a certain amount of stability for completing the echo. Now, the reason why it's a variance is they wanted to incentivize clearing more of the echo instead of rushing through. So if you do 15, that means you've just completed the base objective. If you were to clear more of the map, you don't have to full clear, but if you cleared most of the map, the echo, that would give you the full 47 stability. Now, if you're wondering which one is better, I don't actually know the meta right now, but it was to just rush through and kill stuff along the way. So even though you do get bonus stability, the meta at the time was mostly rush through. Still kill stuff, like it's good to kill stuff, but don't go out of your way to full clear, what I believe was the old meta. Now, these quest echoes on the side, that's how you access the act boss that I was referencing earlier. Now you have 3 quest echoes. The first 2 quest echoes are just kind of like lore. They're not like particularly important. You do have to do them when you're doing normal timelines. The last quest echo at 240, and again, this number will change depending on your timeline, but that last echo is the boss. Now, you only have to do that last echo when you get to Empowered Monolith, so you don't have to do the lore every time. You only have to do it one time. Now, when you defeat a timeline, depending on where you are, you'll be offered different directions to go. So you can see I can either go left or I can go right. Now, the only real difference is like what they provide and what they follow up towards. So, for example, the Stolen Lance won't allow me to go towards ending the storm. It'll travel to Bloodfrost and Death, and so on and so forth. So, timelines offer you a few things. One is the boss. The boss itself will have special loot. So, this boss is the Abomination, and it drops... Actually, I'll just show you some of the loot, maybe. You don't need to know this if it's your first time playing, by the way, unless you're following a guide that tells you specifically that you need an item from one of these bosses, which can happen. The boss loot in this game is kind of the best loot in this game, as you would hope it would be. There's some really powerful loot. And no, there is no wrong decision, because you not only can you, but you will be expected to do all 10. The only difference is like how you go about getting there. But you will want to do all 10, so there is no wrong decision here. Maybe just one that's slightly less efficient for your character, depending on the blessings or the loot that you're trying to chase. So let's just go to Monolith of Fate. Timelines. And you can see the Fall of the Outcasts. This is perfect, actually. This is perfect. So you can see it tells you what boss you're going to get, as well as the Harbinger, which I'll explain later. That's a pretty late game thing. It's going to tell you the level. Now, by default, you can see they go up from 58 at the beginning all the way to level 90. Once you get to Empowered, which I'll explain much later, they all become level 100 max level, and you can go back and do them. You can do the starting level 1, like the level 51 at level 100. So you will go, again, you will go back and do all of them no matter what. And the reason why you're going to want to go back is because of... the Harbinger, which is a whole quest, it's a whole quest chain. Again, I'll explain that later. But the big thing is going to be blessings. So, blessings are permanent buffs that you unlock to your character. You can only pick one, but once you've unlocked it, you can swap between them freely in the End of Time. So you can see this timeline specifically gives you grand idol drop rates, large idol drop rates, huge idols, so on and so forth. There's even one for unique, XP, and gold. So like, for example, if you were in the Merchant's Guild, you would probably want the gold drop rate, I would imagine, right? I think XP is usually the one I go for, because obviously until you... Does this affect favor, actually? I can't remember. I know you want this until level 100 for obvious reasons, but does this affect favor? It does? Yeah. So, this one and this one are... I mean, they're all really good. But you can see why you might want 22% more uniques. Or you want 10% more XP. Or 70% boosted gold. Like, you can see why you would want these. Some of them are target farming buffs. And some of them are character buffs. So, just to give you another example. The Black Sun actually gives your characters buffs. So you can see this one gives you life, or maybe some resistances, dodge rating, leech, void damage, ignite. spell leech. Like I know this one is really important for my build that I want to play. Just to give you an example. So there's 5 that give you your character buffs, and there's 5 that allow you to target farm. I'll give you a better example of like a target farming one. Is this one? Yeah. So you can see this one allows you to target farm helmets. This one allows you to target farm body armors. This one allows you to target farm gloves. So you can kind of get the idea. Now, this is very important, especially if you're like a racer, like if you're like a zoomer. There's 2 levels to the blessings. So you see, remember how I said that there's empowerments? If I do this timeline and I get this blessing, right? This is actually the normal mode version of the blessing. In order to get the high level version, you have to do the empowered timeline. Which means, technically speaking, the correct thing to do is to get to empowered timelines as quickly as possible. In order to get to empowered timelines, what you're going to want to do is you want to rush all the way to the back 3 here. The Spirits of Fire, the Age of Winter, and the Last Ruin. These 3 are level 90 timelines, and these 3 need to all be completed in order to unlock empowered timelines. Once you defeat the last one of the 3, you'll spawn a Harbinger. Harbingers are the endgame faction and quest chain, which basically leads up to the big final boss of the game currently, called Aberoth. And that's once you defeat that first starting Harbinger, you'll unlock empowered timelines. In order to get to the next timeline, you do have to beat the boss, so that's what we're gonna do. So we'll just jump into it. Now, I've actually only played hardcore, so I don't know what happens when you die in softcore. I believe you do lose XP, right? And I believe you also lose the loot from the Echo itself, like the bonus loot. Did you already skip the campaign? So not yet. So technically speaking, I haven't done the big campaign skip. I will show that because I haven't done it yet. But what we're doing right now is a few things. Number 1 is we're progressing to empowered monoliths. That's the big thing. You want to get to empowered monoliths. That's like super important. Like that's the most important thing you can do. The second thing we're doing is we're trying to get a key to access a dungeon. So the dungeon we want to do is called the Temporal Sanctum. Each dungeon, now all of them, not just Temporal Sanctum, allow you to skip parts of the campaign. However, when you start playing the game for the very first time, you're not going to have keys. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to get a key to the Temporal Sanctum, which will actually allow us to go back, skip about 4 acts, and finish the campaign. So we're actually, it's a bit odd, but we're actually mapping before we've done the campaign. Like I said, it's a bit odd, right? But it's just how Last Epoch works. And you'll see most people actually do this. Maybe not if you're a brand new player, you might want to, if you're a brand new player, you might want to just do the whole act
so big
at the beginning. But if you're not a new player, it's definitely recommended to do this campaign skip. You don't have to do it this exact same way. So I did the skip in Act 5. I think I believe Act 7 is the other popular skip. You can even go earlier technically, but I think it would be a bit silly on League Start. And you definitely wouldn't go earlier on Hardcore. Like this is already super sketchy in Hardcore. I probably won't even do this on Hardcore, honestly, day 1, because I haven't played the new patch. I don't know, like, if they made it harder or not. So I'm probably going to be safe and do Act 7. The only difference is when you decide to start doing monoliths, by the way. Because no matter what, you're going to need to go into monoliths and farm a key and then blah, 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 blah. Now, as I said, I'll just explain now that I've done an Echo. You see how I have 17 out of 22 stability here? I can now leave because I've done the objective, right? The portal's ready to go. Or you can see if I keep mapping, my stability will slowly go up. But you can see why you might not want to do this, because I'm not getting that flat rate stability from completing the objective anymore. I'm only getting that a little tiny bit of bonus stability, which you can see is like not a huge deal. The only time I would actually do this is if you're like a little bit away from accessing the boss and you don't want to do an entire new echo. It can be like okay to full clear and get the that last bit of stability. But generally speaking, you should leave when you've completed the echo. You should leave. Now, you can see you get loot at the end from the echo reward, as well as a loot chest depending on how much stuff you killed in the echo. So you can see each echo has like a bonus reward. You do lose this bonus reward if you die, I believe. As I said, I don't normally play softcore, so I don't actually know exactly what happens. At the baseline, like default, like again, this is like normal difficulty, like normal echoes, right? This is pre-empowered. The loot isn't anything too special at the moment. You can see this just gives me rare amulets. This echo reward gives me affix shards. This one gives me runes. So early on, you might want runes or affix shards or something like that. But once you do start doing empowered timelines and exploring more of the timeline and getting corruption, which is definitely skipping ahead a little bit, but these rewards do start to be quite potent and really cool. Coming with the 1.2 update in 2 days, they're actually adding basically an Atlas tree. So it'll be one of the factions here, which will allow you to modify some of the echoes you run. So it'll be like a brand new Atlas tree thing. It's going to be amazing. It should be really cool. It'll allow you to either buff some of the echoes, remove some of the echoes. So if you don't like doing, let's say, arena echoes, you can now delete them, which is fucking amazing, by the way. So that'll be really cool. Do I get all the content if I play offline post-patch? Yeah. The only thing you lose by playing offline will be Merchant's Guild. Because obviously you can't trade with other people offline. Oh, and you also lose MTX and leaderboards, yeah. I would recommend playing online, however, Last Epoch has a history of sketchy servers. So if the servers are dog shit and you don't mind playing offline, I would just play offline. But if the servers are fine, which hopefully they are, I would recommend playing online. Why don't people like Arena? Why don't people like Blight? Why don't people like Legion? Why don't people like Heist? Why don't people like farming essences? Because I suppose while I'm doing everything explained, teach us. Okay, I'll teach you a little bit. All right. So now that we're in monoliths, you may have noticed I've been picking up these purple items. Now you're familiar obviously with white, with magic, with rare, but what the hell is purple? Now these are called exalted. Now they're basically drop only affixes. So you see how this says tier 6 drop only? This means that you cannot craft up to tier 6. You have to drop it, which makes it really fucking hard. Now, the good news is purple affixes are like way better. Like this is like nearly double a tier 5 mod, right? These are really good. So purple equals good basically. So if I wanted to craft this, I have a few things I could do. Now, obviously, I can just slap on a prefix of any sort. You know, maybe I go for some fizz pen, might be hot. Mana regen is pretty hot as well. But you can see I have a health regen per second suffix. Now, I'm personally not a huge fan of health regen. Like, it's not that good. So I could actually ditch it. So what I could do, I could do something a bit spicy here. So like I said, I'm going to put the mana regen on. I like that. Poggers. And I could actually choose the glyph of despair. The health regen per second. Now, this is the first time I'm going to use this. These basically allow you to fracture an extra affix. And it's more likely to work on lower tiers with more affixes. So you see how I have 4 stats on the item, and this is a tier 2 affix. I believe this has something like a 60-ish% chance to succeed. Is that right, chat? What's the percent? I can probably find out. Last Epoch glyph of despair chance. Yo, the AI thing actually works. Yeah, 62.5 on 3 affix. Wait, it's 69. 69% chance. All right, you ready? Pause. Hold. Penis. 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 Fuck. Well, that's devastating. Yeah. Well, that's quite unfortunate. Okay, I'll say it. Now, I could try to seal it on a tier 4, but the chance is 15%. So the smarter thing to do here would probably be to Glyph of Chaos it, now that the Forge potential has gone down a bunch. So what I can do now is randomly hit life. Hey, Void Res! I mean, not the best, but hey, we take it. Alright, I'm gonna try and see how this feels. Yeah, you can see my Void Res, Necrotic Res is good. I need a little bit more cold and poison, but we're kind of chilling now. We're kind of chilling now. So now that we've reached an amount of stability required for the quests, we can start doing them. As I said, you won't need to do all 3 quests in empowered timelines, only the boss echo. But this is how you complete the timeline. So there'll be 2 quest echoes. These aren't really much, they're just kind of for lore. They're not really like supposed to be super hard or really rewarding. And then it'll lead to a big boss fight. So this is the 3rd echo, which makes it a boss echo. This will be Raye. They actually do have mechanics. I'm just gonna double check my shit here. Give this a go. But you can see this is a proper, like, you know, like a normal sort of boss fight that you would expect. Did he just fly off screen? Oh, there you go. Classic. Yeah, I guess I'll explain this ES bar thing. So when a boss reaches a certain threshold, they'll effectively get an ES bar. That you can see it goes down though, even without me attacking. The idea is it bridges the gap between like a good build and a bad build, because that will decay over time. They are removing that on most mobs in the game, but it is intended to like bridge the gap between really high DPS builds that basically ignore mechanics and, you know, slower, lower DPS builds that maybe are a bit tankier or just a bit worse. Because the ES will decay over time, as it basically giving you like a minimum amount of extra damage, depending on how little damage you deal. There you go. The store bar, yeah. These are all shit. Unlucky. Now you mentioned a key. No, because keys are always arena. Yeah, I thought so. Now, like I said, normally... Should I just try Lagon? Now, normally you would want to rush Lagon, because it's one timeline quicker, and it gives you characters bonus shit. But rushing Lagon is normally really fucking hard. Should I just do it anyway? Because I'm a dumb idiot? I wouldn't do this in hardcore, by the way. Like, I would not recommend, because I probably will die. Lagon are no balls. Alright. I guess this is a good opportunity to say what this is. So, occasionally when you're doing Nemesis in the endgame, you'll get this Egg of the Forgotten. Basically, it allows you... And again, there's a button from stash. You can actually pull stuff from your stash here. But you can grab a unique item to empower it. So, for example, let's say I wanted to empower this. I can. I won't get it back until I've done the Nemesis a few times, so you will temporarily lose it. But what that does is it can become, you know, I can add LP onto it. It can become legendary. It basically improves it. But you can see I've lost it temporarily, so now I don't have boots. So just temporarily, I'm going to swap my boots around. So I have some boots still. What's LP? LP stands for Legendary Potential, and it allows you... Basically, if you're familiar with Path of Exile, imagine combining a rare belt with a mage blood. So like, or imagine a gold rim with life on it. Or imagine getting Ralakesh and Patience with move and speed. Or an Aegis with block. And yes, it's as OP as it sounds. They have balanced it in a way that's quite clever, but... like, if you actually did get that, it is as OP as it sounds. Like, actually, it's super broken. Like, the best gear in this game is completely ridiculous. But similar to Path of Exile, you don't need the best gear to do the hardest content. Alright, there we go. Alright, yo, Toad! There it is! Alright, that's what we need. So, like I said, not really a specific way to get it, but that we got one. So we will now go and finish the rest of the campaign. That was a bit late, but not too late. Like 665 is a little bit late, but we can, you know, that's fine. That's fine. You know, it's fine. Is this the end game of this game? This is the start of the end game, and the last 9 months of dev time has been dedicated solely towards improving the end game. And this is not any of that, because obviously I'm not playing on the next patch. I don't have access to closed test realm or anything like that. So what's the new end game? I can't say it in one line. There's a 25-minute video. You probably just gotta watch it, dude. Doesn't that get you hard though? Like, if I said there's a 25-minute video where the devs just say we're adding this, like, bro. It was 117 pages of patch notes, by the way. Yeah. Alright, let's go die to Lagon. I think there's like a... Well, fucked if I know. You think I die here, chat? You think I die here? You know what? I'm pretty good at the game. I got this, right? No, I got this. No, I'm chilling. Yeah, now we're fine. No, we're fine, we're fine. Yeah, we're chilling. Yeah, now we're fine. I think this is the only hard part, right? Because I'm gonna do everything else like a non-Pepega. Yeah, now we're fine, actually. I underestimated myself. Whoa, brother fucking... Oh, fuck. Okay, that was not what you're supposed to do, but it's fine. Alright. Stun, health, ward. We're going with the health regen for sure. Alright. So, allow me to show... That was probably one of the harder bosses you can do when you're starting the monolith system, by the way. At least in hardcore, because he has a lot of one-shots. Now, let me show you the skip. So, you're maybe level 55, 65. I'm a little bit higher than that. You finally got a Temporal Sanctum key. What you do now is you actually go to, I believe it's the Ruined Era. Oh, you can just click the key as well. Yeah, thanks, chat. Too easy. So you go to the Temporal Sanctum. I'm used to doing it manually. XTD. Now, you start this zone in Act 5, and you exit the zone in Act 9, allowing you to skip Act 5, Act 6, Act 7, and Act 8. So 4 entire acts. So this skip saves you like 2 hours or something. Now, you don't really care about what you get from the reward, you just want to do Jorah. So this is a really cool dungeon. There's 3 dungeons, they each have like a purpose and like a gimmick. This dungeon is specifically doing, it's to do with time travel. So you can skip between the Divine Era and the Ruined Era. And depending on which zone you're in will determine like the layout. So you can see the exit here is only in the Divine Era. So we actually have to travel this way. And you can see if I travel to the Ruined Era, it's closed, open, closed, open. So you get the idea, yeah? Now this will be important for the boss fight because the boss will actually, spoiler, summon a big one-shot. And the only way to survive it, well, that you're supposed to, is to travel to the corresponding era to dodge it. So you can see how I'm locked, but if I travel in time, I can go around it. Yeah, it's a time travel dodge, yeah. It's really cool. Now, the hardest difficulty version of the boss is an endgame fight. But it's not hard because of the time mechanic, it's hard because every one of her abilities does insanely lethal damage. Yeah, now remember those boots that we put into the egg? They're still here. And we got dodge and dodge rating while using evade. So not very good, unfortunately, but it can still get better, I guess. I mean, it's not gonna get worse, strictly speaking. It might just not be the most useful thing in the world. Alright, all you need to know for this boss chat, she hurts. Don't get hit by her abilities. The only thing you actually need to know is you need to swap between time when she does her big nuke. I'll show you the nuke. That's the main thing. It's tier 1, she's a joke. Depends when you fight her. If you fight her at level 50, she will probably almost one-shot you, but I'm kinda over-leveled because I didn't get a key. So you see this big nuke? Safe. And that's it. Yeah, she's really like Maven. She is definitely budget Maven. She even got the Maven circle-y thingy. But you can see these puddles stay. So dropping the puddles is kind of like important. There you go. Can I like... They're that bad. Now, I guess I'll explain how this works. The Eternity Cache, this is the whole exalted legendary potential thing I was talking about earlier. So basically, this ring has 1 legendary potential, which means it takes 1 affix from an exalted item. The exalted item needs to have 4 affixes. I'll just use this ring as an example. So it'll take 1 randomly. Next patch, at least as assuming you're doing a tier 2 dungeon, you will be able to select 1 of the affixes to guarantee. Because this is a tier 1 dungeon, I can't. Basically, you need to let it cook. So we travel in time. And now it's cooked. And we got endurance. So that's actually not completely dog shit. So, but I'm not going to use it, just as an example. And so you can see now we can exit. And now we're in Act 9. Just like that. Now, at this point of the campaign skip, you will want to finish the act. There's a few quests that will give you the remaining idle and passive points. And you'll also get access to factions finally. And you'll also get access to a passive point from defeating the Act 9 boss. So we're going to go do that now. So you do the skip at Act 5. When you get to the Act 5 town, like the main town. The reason I'm so high level is I didn't get a key till 66. Ideally, you get the key earlier, but... oh well. Shit happens. So, obviously, we made it to the campaign skip. We're in Act 9. In Act 9, you get to pick your faction. So, this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the stream. Obviously, like I said, the Observatory, Circle of Fortune. This is your bonus loot faction. And then the Merchants Guild, you can sacrifice the benefits from the Circle of Fortune. And instead of getting bonus loot from playing the game, you can instead trade other players. So obviously the Bazaar will give you access to basically an auction house. Unlike Path of Exile, it is instant, like, what do you call it, chat? Asynchronous? Is that the term? You can basically buy the item and you get the item. You don't have to like whisper somebody and beg them to trade you. You just get it. Now, the downsides of this, the way they balanced it is they added the faction system, which basically, if you don't trade, you get bonus loot, and if you do trade, you also have to then go through the favor grind. Oh, here you go, yeah. So at level 1, you can sell, you can buy normal magic and rare. Rank 2, you can buy set. Rank 3, you can buy uniques with no legendary potential. Rank 4 is idols, and it goes all the way until you can basically trade everything. Anyway, obviously, I highly recommend Circle of Fortune. I think it is more fun. But Merchant's Guild is technically more powerful. It's just like... It's pure power versus fun and power. So I would highly recommend Circle of Fortune. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. COF by comparison, rank 1 is 35% chance of dropping twice as many items. So right off the bat, rank 1, 35% more items. Rank 2 is 45% chance for Runes of Ascendance to not be consumed on COF items. 25% chance to duplicate idols. So you have 35% chance of dropping twice as many items, and then a 25% chance to drop 2 idols. Full set. So when you get 1 set, you get the whole set. 35% chance for double rewards for Monolith Echoes. 50% chance for affixes to be more likely to be exalted. So this is just like 50% more exalted affixes, basically. On top of the 35% more loot. On top of the whatever, blah, blah, blah. Double exalted mage drops. Twice as likely to have LP. Double the chance to get tier 7. 150% increased drop rate on bosses. So more than double loot on bosses. This one's rank 11 is ridiculous. Items that drop rare have a 25 flat rate to become exalted. Rank 12, double prophecies. And that's another thing. So remember how I said you have the auction house. Circle of Fortune has prophecies. And prophecies are basically you kill Lagon and you get 6 exalted axes. You defeat Rye and you get 12 Glyphs of Despair. You defeat the Husk of Elder Gaspar and you get 2 mirrors. And you can pick these, obviously. You can pick whichever one you want. Where are the silver coins? You just need favor, which I don't have any favor. But favor is just from killing stuff, mostly. Alright, so as you can see, all passives, all idols. We've got our faction. We've got our passive points. Campaign done. We just beat Lagon, so we're at the Reign of Dragons timeline. To finish the rest of the run, basically, we need to go and defeat these 3 final timelines. The Spirits of Fire, the Age of Winter, and the Last Ruin. These are the only 3 timelines you need to actually complete in order to access the empowered timelines, as well as starting the Harbinger quest chain. But obviously you do need to get there. In order to get there, you have to do a few timelines to be able to travel there. As you can see, we went from here to here to here, now here. So right now we have 4 more timelines to do. The last timeline you do will spawn a Harbinger. It's recommended to spawn it in the Last Ruin. It doesn't matter too much, but the Last Ruin timeline boss is quite difficult. So it's best to get it out of the way at the beginning. When you defeat these 3, you'll start the Harbinger quest chain. What will happen is the timeline boss will be accompanied by an extra boss after you defeat it. That extra boss will mimic some of the abilities of the timeline and be a generally harder fight. So because this boss has a particularly annoying ability to deal with, it's a good one to do first. The reason why we want to do it first is because you actually have to progress your corruption over time. Actually, let me just show you on a higher level character, because it'll make a bit more sense then. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm just going to cheat a little bit. So I'll show you real quick what an empowered timeline looks like. So you can see the timelines that said 58, 62, 66 all have 100 next to them now. So if we go back real quick, instead of doing a level 50 timeline, we can now upgrade it and bump it up to a level 100 timeline. So you can do all the timelines at maximum difficulty. So as you can see, it introduces this new system of corruption. You can get corruption in normal timelines, but generally speaking, you want to do it in empowered. And you can see there's no limit to corruption. Basically, there's infinite scaling in this game. Infinite scaling doesn't... The corruption increases loot, but it's more effective up until a point, and then it has massive diminishing returns. I think usually people go for around 300 to 500 corruption. You don't have to go beyond that. Like I said, it has diminishing returns. Obviously, you'll start in the central hub, and there'll also be this thing here. This is a way to reset the echo in case something goes wrong, right? It just resets the whole thing and reduces your corruption. So this allows you to like tinker your corruption down if it's too high. Now you can see this is at 310. Empowered by default starts at 100. The way you increase this corruption, I'll have to see if I can like find one that's kind of in progress. So you can see this echo has been like spread out a bit more. We've explored a lot more. You'll occasionally find things like this. You see how this looks a little bit different than a regular sort of zone? This will revert completed echoes. So if I was to complete this, all these checkboxes will go away, and you can rerun all the zones again and get the loot again. This one will reroll the rewards, which will allow you to reroll things like this and this and this and all these all uncompleted ones, which allows you to fish for like better rewards. There's one more. There's also obviously the beacons, which reveal, but that's the core of it. The next thing you need to know is this. These are kind of on the edge of the web. They kind of act like as the wall of the echoes, the timelines. So these will surround the whole thing, right? There'll be one here, one here. Like you can see it kind of like surrounds it. These are endpoints effectively. And what they are is they actually are a boss echo that spawns the Shade of Erebus. So this is a special boss. It's actually quite a challenging boss. And it increases the corruption when you kill it of the whole timeline.
as well as dropping you special loot. Some of the best loot in the game comes from him. And like I said, he's quite a hard boss. Like compared to the bosses I've shown you so far, he is like a harder boss. And he has lots of one-shot abilities. He's a nasty boy. He's kind of supposed to be like a Shaper difficulty-ish kind of fight. Sort of like a mini Shaper, I guess. Every single time you kill him, you'll get Gaze of Erebus. Basically, this increases the amount of corruption you get when you defeat him. It's part of a catch-up system to increase the amount of corruption you get when you do it. Yeah, you spend the gaze on Shade, and you generate the gaze from the boss, the timeline boss. So it's been like 9 months since I pushed the system. It's been a while. So what are the quest echoes for? They're optional. They're literally role-playing. The reason why you don't have to do them in Empowered is because it's assumed you would have done it by now. This is just lore. You don't need to do it. Anyway, GG boys. I think this is easy Lance raid, right? This is probably easy Lance, yeah. Yeah, Lance just got on. Alright, anyway, do we have to stand up? Yes, you do. So everybody, look down at the camera. My pants aren't even like done up. What the fuck? I really am standing for Lance. Anyway, everybody look at the camera awkwardly as if you just got caught. Stand up. We're gonna go host Lance. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna play D&D.